What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon. MLB DFS video. It is Wednesday. It is August 2nd. It is post-trade deadline, and the Yankees did absolutely nothing. So, would love to know, what is your MLB team, and what moves did you like that they made? And what moves did you like that they should have made, but they did not? So, we're in it where we're good. We didn't really get screwed by anyone getting traded. Some of the players we thought were going to get traded never did, so that's awesome. Now we're going to dig in. We're going to look at all these current lineups that we've got, the pitchers that are out there, and we can feel good about it because we're over the hump of the trade deadline and being cautious of who's in and out. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hopefully you learn a lot. If you do, hit that like button. Also, if this video gets at least 50 likes, you leave a comment, and you are a subscriber, you get a big chance to go ahead and win a free MLB week or just a week in general. Right now, the winner will receive a week for baseball. We have PGA. We're going to have MMA and NASCAR. So you get a full week. If this video gets at least 100 likes, someone will win a free month of all of our content. And if this video gets 125 likes, someone will win a yearly pass to all of our content. So make sure you leave a like and leave a comment on the video. That being said, we are going to start moving forward. We've got baseball on the horizon. I was going to start doing NFL breakdowns of the divisions and players with ADP and draftable fantasy football players, but everyone's getting hurt right now. So I think I'm going to slow my roll for a couple of weeks. Once we get through training camp and then the preseason starts, then I'll do it. We're obviously still going to have injuries happen, but like a lot of like players that you want to draft or you're looking at, they're getting hurt. So people are going to get signed. Zeke's probably going to get signed. We don't know where Jonathan Thomas is going, or Jonathan Taylor. We don't know where Dalvin Cook's going to go, so a lot's going to happen. So that being said, we're going to go over a lot here. And at the end of this video, I'm actually going to link the PGA video. So there is a PGA video out there, so go check it out. Kind of digging into some numbers, some players to fade, some players we like, some hopefully a little bit that you enjoy. So if you find that video helpful, hit that like on that video as well. So that being said, let's see who the winner of yesterday's video will be. We had 29 unique comments, and this will be the winner real quick. Congratulations to Taveen Teagle. Need to bring home the bacon again. So congratulations. Like this video and let me know you saw it, and then either email me, support. It's dfshelp1@gmail.com. That's dfshelp1@gmail.com. Or you can hit us up on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, @advisors_team over there, and we'll get you signed up and set up for a week. So congratulations to Taveen Teagle, I believe. And again, guys, all you got to do is comment, like the video, and be a subscriber. So congratulations yet again. So we have a full day. We have a full slate. We have early. We have main. I don't like when they're broken up like this, but we will persevere and we will move on. So looking at this, Lucas Giolito making his second start with the Angels versus the Braves. Probably not the best start for him. He's, it's going to be a learning curve for some of these teams. The Angels were buyers, which is weird. The Braves really didn't do anything, I don't think, in the draft, in the trade deadline. You do see that Giolito is the highest priced pitcher on the slate, so we look at him. Game log, not the best start against Toronto. 5.1 innings, 3 earned runs, had no run support, had 5 strikeouts there. Splits-wise, he hasn't faced Atlanta this year. Road games, he's worse on the road, 5.23 on the road. Has given up 37 earned runs and only 17 at home, giving up more home runs, more walks, does have more strikeouts, but I'm all in on the Braves as a top stack here. I think that's pretty clear that that's kind of what to expect. With that, Probably looking at Albies, Michael Harris, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, obviously Ronald Acuna. I was trying to give some Marcell Ozuna, trying to give some other bats for that lineup that we'd look at. Yanni Chirinos, probably not going to be using him either. Kind of looking at him down here at 6,700 game logs. He's not going deep into games. He's not doing much at all. Home games, he's 641. Now his home is Atlanta. I'm probably just looking at bats in this game. Probably not looking at anything pitching-wise. So Ohtani, Grichuk. It just depends on what lineup that the Angels throw out there. But Ohtani's obviously number one. So looking at this, just if there's any bats that have had success in the past, which they're probably they haven't seen much. Like I said, Grichuk, Crone, Ohtani, maybe Mickey Moniak. I would look at those bats there, and then the Braves. But I'd rather have more of the Braves than the Angels bats. Next game, Tigers at the Pirates. Eduardo Rodriguez actually was getting traded to the Dodgers, and he waived his no trade, or he stuck to it and didn't get traded to the Dodgers, which seems like a weird team to not want to go to a winning team to try to win another World Series, but in fact stay with a very bad Detroit team that's not going to make the postseason probably ever again. Really weird. We'll see if it works, but he's got a great matchup here against the Pirates. 24 plate appearance, 318, so hasn't faced them very much. Osvaldo Bido hasn't faced the Tigers either. Honestly, don't mind either of these pitchers. Looking at this, though, we can look at the numbers, and we can kind of see if we feel confident. Erod here. Game log, not a good game against the Angels. 4.2 innings, 4 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 2.5 fantasy points. A really good game against Kansas City, but again, everyone has a good game against Kansas City most of the time. Splits-wise, he has faced Pittsburgh one time this year. 5 innings, 4 earned runs. Didn't have a good matchup there. Seeing if it was in Detroit or Pittsburgh. It was in Detroit. They ended up losing 8-0. I don't mind him, though. I still think he's in a good spot here against the Pirates. But I kind of also like Bido here as well. Game log, I mean, not the best. 5,600. He's now 5,500 against the Angels. Only went 3 innings, so that's the problem. He's not going deep into games. So that's the only caveat. He hasn't gone more than 5 innings since June 24th. If he could, it would be this game. I mean, at a cheap option at 5,500, we could be looking at just a little bit. I mean, home games, he is worse at home. He's given up double the earned runs. Hasn't given up a home run at home, though. Doesn't have a ton of strikeouts. Overall, 28 strikeouts. But again, you're playing a small slate that has 4 games on it. You got to get a little creative. I'd be looking at maybe pairing up Rodriguez and Bido here, thinking it's going to be a low-scoring game, and feel confident about that. If you want to dig into the bats that, maybe if you're not using either of these pitchers, we could look at what bats. I mean, Torkelson, great numbers. Riley Green has been on fire this year. Jake Rogers is a cheaper catching option if he starts. Kerry Carpenter, we've used him lately, and he's been pretty good. Vierling as well. Probably not using Miggy. Probably not using any of the other ones. Maybe a little bit McKinstry, but he's kind of cooled off lately. If you're not going with Erod and you want to go with other players, Jack Sawinski, Cabrian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, Kutch against the left-handed pitcher, I don't mind. Connor Joe a little bit would be the bats I look at in that game. So I will have exposure to both these pitchers, though, just a little bit. Brewers at the Nationals. You got Wade Miley versus Mackenzie Gore. When is the last time Wade Miley pitched? Coming off the IL, July 9th. Really good game against Cincinnati. 6 innings, 8 Ks, no earned runs against Cincinnati, which is a good team. Then he went on the IL with an elbow problem. I don't know if that means anything. He had bone spurs in his elbow. Whether or not he's going to be on a, let's see. He didn't go on a minor league rehab assignment. They will be leery about his workload, so that does scare me. Tournament-wise, you could throw him in there, but I don't know if he's going to go deep into games. That's the problem. Hasn't faced Washington this year. On the road, he is better on the road, but he's going to be, a pitch count. So if he gets a little bit beat up in the first inning but doesn't give up any runs, and then he, gets to 30, 40 pitches, might not last into the game. So that might be a little bit cautious there. I might be just avoiding Miley altogether, actually. And then we look at Mackenzie Gore. We did use him against the Mets, thinking, tournament-wise, maybe. The Mets came alive that game. 5 innings, 3 earned runs. They ended up putting a total of 5 runs up. 3.9 fantasy points, so didn't have a good game. Then we look at this. Hasn't faced Milwaukee this year. Home games, 404. Away games, 467. Probably going to be stacking Milwaukee here. Looking at the bats that we would like, William Contreras is going to be one. Christian Yelich is going to be one, even though it's a lefty-on-lefty matchup. Santana got traded. Joey Wiemer, I don't mind he would be more of a tournament option only. Mark Canha against the lefty just got traded. If he's in there, definitely check that out. Willie Adames, I don't mind. They did just, I think they DFA'd Colton Wong. I believe they DFA'd him or traded him. I can't remember. But Colton Wong's no longer on the team, which brings in Bryce Turing. Probably slates right on there and will be the starter. Could be in between him and Owen Miller, though, so that is definitely something to look at there. But I don't think I want anything to do with either of these pitchers. I'd rather look at the bats. I don't know, though. Like Joey Meneses, I don't mind. Luis Garcia, Keibert Ruiz, Lane Thomas, C.J. Abrams. But I don't know how much I'll actually have exposure to this game. With the Nat side anyway. Probably leaning more towards the Brewers bats. Next game, Guardians at the Astros. Tanner Bibby versus to be announced. Is anyone here? Ronel Blanco, they're thinking. He was optioned to AAA on July 8th. I didn't realize he was sent down before the All-Star break. Don't know if it's going to actually be him. Looking at this game log, it's been a while since he's been there. Probably they bring him up here. A couple of good games. Looking at splits, home games. Started 3 of them, 3.96. So he is better at home. Gets going up against Cleveland, which I don't mind. But you're going to have to get a little bit crazy. So looking at this, I don't mind a Blanco here. But again, make sure he's the starter. And we kind of got to see if he's even going to be going deeper into games. So that being said, Tanner Bibby, on the other hand, against Houston, game logs, pretty good games here against the White Sox, Philly, Texas, Kansas City. Actually, Kansas City, 5 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 earned run. Only got 12.5, which kind of sucks. Looking at splits, away games, he's worse on the road. It's against Houston. They only got better getting Verlander. So, yeah, I'm probably steering clear of Bibby here. I don't even know if I'm going to play much of this early slate at all anyway, but I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then, obviously, the bats that you're looking at Yordan, you're looking at Altuve. Chas McCormick has been pretty good for us this year when we've used him. Kyle Tucker, obviously. He's always getting projected pretty high for us, getting home run projections and stolen bases, which is exactly what we need. Yannier Diaz as well is what I would look at. Maybe a little bit Corey Julks. It's probably about it. And then the other side, if we're going Cleveland, Jose Ramirez, obviously against any pitcher. Josh Naylor against a righty, I'll take. Bo Naylor for tournaments, I don't mind. Stephen Kwan. Andres Jimenez. Jimenez was out on Tuesday, though, so I don't know if he's hurt or it was just a day of rest on a Tuesday. So that is something to monitor a little bit. But that would be where I'm at in this one. And then that one's done. Then we have this, for whatever reason, afternoon slate here. San Diego at Colorado. You got a problem. The weather looks like a problem. Joe Musgrove versus Kyle Freeland. Looking at this, Joe Musgrove is expensive. I don't know if you should even play this slate. looking at that, he hasn't faced Colorado this year. Away games, he's 307. I really just don't feel confident taking a pitcher in Colorado, no matter what. So we look at that, and then you got Kyle Freeland here. Game log wise, I mean, should have had a dream matchup against Oakland, but it was at home in Colorado. Only lasted 4 innings, gave up 9 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them earned, and only 3 strikeouts for 3 fantasy points. So not enough at all. Splits wise, home games 431. He's actually better at home. He could be one. I mean, Austin Gomber actually had a really good game against him. If you want to get crazy at 5,800, I don't mind Kyle Freeland. Again, though, he's going up against San Diego. San Diego this is the lineup that they have. For some reason, they traded for Rich Hill and G-Man Choi for first base. Then they already have like Cronenworth playing first. Then they traded for Garrett Cooper. So if Garrett Cooper is in this lineup, he could be a cheaper option against a lefty. He hits lefties very well. They have Gary Sanchez that's supposedly supposed to hit lefties well. Tatis. They have Machado. I mean, they have a ton of bats that should be hitting lefties well, especially in Coors, and they just don't seem to be. So looking at this, I'm probably in tournaments, I throw them in there. I don't care. But this is also going to be a tournament because it's 2 games. And I don't like how this is. I don't like 2-game slate, especially with Colorado being 1. So looking at this, pretty much any pitcher's up for par in these matchups here for 2 games. So I don't mind either of them. But those would be the San Diego bats if I'm taking San Diego side. Garrett Cooper is probably my number 1 if he gets the start, which he should against the lefty as long as he traveled and got there in time. Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, Juan Soto. I mean, it's going to be very expensive. The bats here are going to be very expensive in Colorado, but you might be able to afford them if you go with like Crawford and Musgrove, or Crawford and Gilbert with two bats here. Freeland, again, I don't mind him. Colorado bats, not a ton jump out, but we can look at them real quick. Brendan Rodgers is back from the IL, so this should be his 2nd game back, I think, or it'll be his 3rd game. Ryan McMahon, more red than blue. Nolan Jones is in the middle, so I don't mind him. Montero, more of a tournament option. Diaz, I don't mind Diaz here. Maybe a little bit of Michael Toglia, possibly. There's not a ton that I like. A couple of the Colorado bats, but I would rather be on the side of San Diego, but they just haven't been playing good ball right now. Next game in this middle slate, Boston Red Sox at the Mariners. You got Cutter Crawford versus Logan Gilbert. Looking at Crawford on the road, game logs. We used him his last start against San Francisco. Worked out for us. 5.2 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run in that ballpark is magic for us. Looking at this, hasn't faced Seattle this year. Away games, he's got a way better ERA away. Seattle's been just terrible lately. Their bats, they're gone. They're like the Yankees bats. They're just non-existent. So, yeah, I honestly don't mind Cutter Crawford here at all. Looking at that, like, the numbers are just better. Way better ERA on the road. At home, a 6. On the road, 2.37. 9 less earned runs. Way less runs here. Do have 2 more hits allowed, but same amount of home runs, same amount of walks, has more strikeouts on the road. I really like. And Seattle gave up some of their bats. They were in talks of trading Teoscar Hernandez, but whatever fell through. So they still have some bats, but I'd rather take Cutter Crawford here. And then Logan Gilbert hasn't looked his self in a couple of starts. He had a really good game against Arizona, 6.1 innings, 9 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Not a good game against Toronto. Minnesota, middle of the pack, a really good game against Houston. It's been up and down. Hasn't faced Boston this year. Home games, 4-6. He's worse at home. That's not good. I mean, more home runs, less Ks, a little bit less walks, one more earned run. So it's just looking at that, I don't know. Again, it's a 2-game slate. Got to get a little creative. I could see you very contrarian going these two and then building around, but I think you're going to need San Diego bats in this. So maybe Crawford and Musgrove, or even Crawford and Gilbert, and just hope that the Boston-Seattle game doesn't have very many runs. So the next game here, Phillies at the Marlins. It's actually not on the slate, is it? Zach Wheeler versus Braxton Garrett. Wheeler, 94 plate appearances, 256. Braxton Garrett, 48 plate appearances, 378. I'd probably be on the side of Wheeler and the Phillies stack against Braxton. Looking at that, let's see. Looking at the matchup here, if it'll load. Schwarber obviously didn't. It depends. It's a lefty and lefty matchup, but he's got great numbers here. Brandon Marsh, if he's in there, I don't mind him batting. He's a cheaper option. Trey Turner. Trey Turner's looked really bad this year, though. I might skip away from Turner, look at Alec Boehm, look at Real Muto. Castellanos would be the bats that I'd look at for Philly. Miami bats, if you're not going with Wheeler, Jesus Sanchez. Jazz is back. De La Cruz, Jorge Soler, Luis Arraez would be the bats I'd look at for Miami. Next game, Tampa Bay at the Yankees, like I said yesterday, or every day, was it? I don't remember now. The Yankees have just looked terrible. They haven't looked good. They have no life in them. You're taking a pitcher against them, and you're probably getting a ton of strikeouts. Eflin went 6 innings yesterday, 5 strikeouts, and he was bad on the road. His only road win before yesterday was at Yankee Stadium, so he did well on the road again. McClanahan against the Yankees is pretty much probably a lock for almost double-digit strikeouts. Then you got Garrett Cole, who's vying for probably top spot in the Cy Young race right now because Eovaldi's out with forearm strain, which could mean Tommy John. Could be a low-scoring game, or it could not. It just really depends on what we're looking at. So looking at the bats, though, McClanahan could see double digits. Let's just look at the numbers. So you've got Shane McClanahan here against the Yankees. Game log, not a good game against Houston. A couple of bad games here. He's faced the Yankees one time this year, 4 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. That was at Yankee Stadium. So one of his worst starts of the year, or is it his worst start? His worst start of second worst start of the year came against this Yankee team, but you don't know what you're going to get out of this team right now. They're not hitting well. They made absolutely no trades to make the offense better, and they're just putting around. Probably going to get swept by Tampa Bay, and then definitely going to get swept by Houston when they come in. So looking at this, I don't mind McClanahan here. I think this could be a low-scoring game. I think both of these pitchers are in play. Then you got Garrett Cole at 10,800. Game log, he's a little bit less than he was last week. Loved him against Baltimore. Went 7 innings, 5 Ks. A little bit low at 24, but they lost 1-0 in extras. Or at the bottom of the ninth, they had a walk-off on him. Still vying, like I said, for that. He's faced Tampa Bay twice this year. 10 innings pitched, 7 earned runs, 6.30 ERA. So he has gotten hit by them. His ERA and numbers could take a hit in this game. Wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay absolutely defeats them again and they sweep them. I'll have exposure to Cole, but I think I'll have more exposure to McClanahan than I would Cole, just because you get a little bit of savings. You get 1,500 savings that you can use at another spot. And then if we're using bats here, depending, Yandy Diaz, I don't mind. Arozarena had a home run on Tuesday. Brandon Lau seems like he's getting on base when he wants. Harold Ramirez, he does hit better on lefties, but he could have a good game. Wander Franco is there as well. If you are taking the Yankees, the only ones that look like they actually have life, Judge, Glaber, and then IKF, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. And it really, you don't know what lineup's going to come out there. I mean, Bowers has been leading off a little bit. If it's crazy to say, but I read a stat where Anthony Rizzo's last 50 games are a worse stretch of games than Joey Gallo has ever had on the Yankees. And Joey Gallo is bad. I mean, we saw them trade him last trade deadline. But yeah, that being said, it just depends. I mean, I know that DJ had a double on Tuesday, so I mean, you could look at him, but Stanton, I don't know. If he plays the outfield, then maybe, but I don't have confidence in him. So, more McClanahan. We'll have a little bit of Garrett Cole, but probably looking at some bats in this game. Orioles at the Blue Jays. You got Grayson Rodriguez versus Yusei Kikuchi. Grayson's actually looked really good. He looked really good against the Yankees his last start. Obviously, everyone does. In that game, he went 6.1 innings with 4 strikeouts, 19.3 fantasy points. Obviously, you'd like more than 4 strikeouts, but he's faced Toronto once this year, 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Toronto is down Bo Bichette with a knee problem. He got hurt the other day. We did see that the Orioles, they were in talks with Verlander, but whatever, that fell through. They did get Paul DeJong to play shortstop. So that is another righty bat that may have had okay with him, but you can kind of see Grayson Rodriguez, he is better at home, or is better on the road at 4.91 compared to 7.36. I think I'll have a little bit of exposure to Grayson Rodriguez because he is cheaper, 7,200. Looking at that, then you've got Kikuchi against Baltimore. Again, it's really hard to take pitchers against Baltimore. He's had a couple of good games in a row against the Dodgers and Seattle. Not so good against Arizona, White Sox, Boston, and then Oakland, but everyone does. So looking at this, he's faced Baltimore twice this year, 9.1 innings, 5 earned runs, 4.82 ERA with only 11 fantasy points per game average there. I would probably be taking the Orioles bats in this game. Rushman, Santander. You've got your switch hitters there. Aaron Hicks is a cheap option if he starts. Gunnar Henderson has been on fire. Austin Hayes. Those would be the ones that I look at there. So, flip side of that, Toronto. I don't know if I want to use any of these Toronto bats. I think I'm probably, if I do, might be a little bit of Chapman, Vlad, Danny Jansen. Those might be the ones that I'd use for Toronto. Twins at the Cardinals, Joe Ryan versus to be announced. I'm not sure if this was supposed to be Jack Flaherty's start, but he was traded to the Orioles this afternoon, or late in the day on Tuesday, almost right at the deadline, I believe. Looking at that, Joe Ryan, second highest priced pitcher up here. Game logs, not so good against Seattle. The White Sox, pretty good game against White Sox, 24.7. But then you had Oakland, who he should have had a good game against Oakland. At Oakland, 14.6. Splits-wise, on the road, he's a little bit worse, 4.23 compared to 3.92. More walks on the road, less strikeouts. But it's St. Louis. They didn't make any significant changes, like they didn't get rid of Goldschmidt, they didn't get rid of Arenado, so they didn't get rid of their right-handed bats that can hit. But I don't know if they're a bad team this year as well. They're a very bad team this year. So if you don't want to pay up for Garrett Cole, you can pay down $700 for Ryan. I don't know if that's really going to make a difference. And then it looks like Matt Liebertor coming out of the bullpen. Let's see. Oh, he actually got sent down. His 6.75 ERA, those aren't good. Minus 10.9 against the Marlins. Against the Yankees, July 1st, 1 fantasy point. Nothing good there. Home games, 3.38 ERA. Away, 11.48, but that doesn't matter. Looking at that, probably looking at Minnesota bats more so than any of the Cardinals bats right now. We can look at him real quick. With a soft toss and lefty and Liberatore, or, however he tosses, is not doing very well. Buxton, if he's in there, I like him against the lefty. Solano is a cheaper option. Correa just hasn't really done much. Edward Julian, I don't mind. Michael Taylor, very cheap option. Willie Castro as well. Cardinals bats, if you're not taking Joe Ryan, Goldie is obviously number one. Contreras, if he's in there. Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman. Burleson, his name was being thrown out there to get traded, but didn't happen. So those would be kind of what I'd be looking at. But I'm more leaning towards Minnesota bats, more so than Cardinals bats. Reds at the Cubs, Brandon Williamson versus Drew Smyly. I don't want anything to do with either of these pitchers. Williamson here coming in 4.48 ERA. Has faced Cubs one time this year, 4.1 innings, 4 earned runs. Yeah, I'm not liking that. I would be stacking the Cubs. They're starting to just play some good ball. They put up I think they had 5 runs in the first inning on Tuesday. I think against Ben Lively, and they were one of our top stacks on our cheat sheet. So if you haven't checked it out, go check out our cheat sheet, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. You can sign up, like I said. It's part of our cheat sheet. We have weather tab and everything there. I'm going to be avoiding Williamson. I'm going to be looking at the Cubs bats. I'm going to be looking at Patrick Wisdom, Morel, Dansby Swanson, Suzuki, I don't mind, and Ian Happ. Drew Smyly-wise, I don't think I want anything to do with him. I mean, he had a pretty good game against St. Louis, 4.1 innings, 6 Ks. He's not going deeper into games like he needs to. I can't trust him enough. Probably looking at stacking in this game, both offenses. So Spencer Steer, Ellie De La Cruz, McLean, Joey Votto, especially in this ballpark. So I'm avoiding both of these pitchers. I'd be looking at the offenses. Next game, White Sox at the Rangers. Dylan Cease, whose name was thrown out there to possibly get traded, and it fell through versus to be announced. So we look at Dylan Cease. He's right here. 4.15 ERA. So, last year he was on fire, but he does have 143 strikeouts. So, I mean, he's getting, look at this, 5, 9, 6, 8, 5. So he's getting them. Splits-wise, one time against Texas, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, has had success against them. I don't mind that. At 8,400, I don't mind that at all. I think he'll go under-owned because he is going up against Texas. And then we look at Texas. It should be Dane Dunning. I don't know. He pitched on the 29th. Well, no. He pitched on the 28th. I guess this is the 5th day. We don't know if this is him or not, but I would not be using him. I'd be looking at some White Sox bats. Eloy, Tim Anderson, Luis Robert Jr. is kind of who I'd look at in this one. But kind of like a little bit of Dylan Cease for tournaments only, and then some White Sox bats. Mets at the Royals, Kodai Senga versus Alec Marsh. Senga's in a great spot. Looking at his numbers, the Mets are a mess is the problem. They sold off everybody almost, and Steve Cohen was buying top prospects anyway. Game logs, couple of not the best. Looking at this, hasn't faced Kansas City before. Road games, he is worse on the road, but love me this matchup against Kansas City. I think I like this matchup here. In Kansas City against this team, we usually have a lot of success with pitchers we take, so I think I'm going to be all over Kodai Senga here. No real bats jump out to me in this game. Probably just going to avoid the bats here. And we'll just kind of wait for Vegas numbers to come out. But I'm in on the train for Senga against the Royals. I don't want anything to do with Marsh. I don't want anything to do with any of the bats right now. Maybe those will come later on. Arizona versus the Giants. Normally it's the other way around where we do know who the pitcher is for Arizona, but we don't know who it is for the Giants. But we got Logan Webb, 103 plate appearances against Arizona, 220 batting average. This is a fantastic pitcher's park. Let's see, Arizona. Who is this? So Tommy Henry is out of the rotation. Slade Ciccone making his debut if he starts. maybe throw him in. 65, I mean, he's still 6,500. Throw him in because this is a pitcher's park, but I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he's going to be on any pitch limit, any kind of limit at all. So that's something I'd kind of pay attention to if I were taking someone. And then if you look at Logan Webb, third highest priced pitcher on the slate. Game log, pretty good game against Boston. Did give up 300 runs and only 4 strikeouts. While being a strikeout guy, he hasn't struck out a lot lately in the past couple of games. Then he had a stretch here, 7-10-11, 5-5. Splits-wise, he's faced Arizona twice this year. 14 innings pitched, a total of 4 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, 17.6 fantasy points. Probably not enough for 9,800. Maybe a little bit of exposure to him in tournaments, but not cash. And then, yeah, it just depends what lineup comes out of there. If you're looking at Arizona, Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Christian Walker. If you're looking at the Giants against Ciccone, I don't know how you say his name, but you'd be looking at like Jock Peterson, JD Davis, Conforto. I would look at maybe Wilmer Flores has been on fire for like the last 2 months as well. Then the final game on the slate, we got the Athletics at the Dodgers. Hogan Harris versus Tony Gonsolin. Obviously, I'm not taking Hogan Harris. I'm taking all the righty bats for the Dodgers I can. Last I looked, Mookie and JD Martinez were day-to-day. If they are in, I love them. Freddie Freeman against the lefty, I don't mind. Kike Hernandez, if he gets the start, I don't mind. Those would be the ones. And then Gonsolin. Let's check out Gonsolin here real quick. Where is he at? So he's got a good matchup against Oakland. Not a good game against Toronto his last start. 5 innings, 5 earned runs, only 3 strikeouts. He's not getting a ton of strikeouts, though. Hasn't faced Oakland this year. Probably avoiding Gonsolin just because he's not getting enough strikeouts. At 7,500, he's averaging only 12.7. I can't take that. So those would be the... in this game, I'd probably only look at the Dodgers bats, and that's it. And there you have it, everybody. That is the breakdown, the entire breakdown, pitching and bats. We do have some ballpark factors just to look over real quick. Coors Field, as of now, the wind will be blowing in. Wrigley, it'll be blowing out, so obviously it's a big plus for bats. Nationals Park blowing in. Dodger Stadium blowing out, which kind of breezy as well. Not too breezy, but looking at that would give a bump to all of the righty bats for Dodgers. T-Mobile Park blowing in, so if you're playing that game there, we talked about taking both of those pitchers, Boston and with Cutter Crawford and Logan Gilbert. Don't mind that. Detroit at Pittsburgh, both Eduardo Rodriguez and Beto here, I don't mind because the wind is blowing absolutely directly into home. Oracle Park blowing out, but it is very hard to hit a home run there, so use that knowledge. Kauffman Stadium, so Singa here against Kansas City. The wind seems to be blowing in from left, but it's going to be very hot and humid. The ball could fly out of there. Truist Park, it's Atlanta. I take Atlanta against Giolito. Wind's going to be blowing in, but it's going to be very hot, so the ball could fly out of there as well. Rogers Center, same thing. It's a dome, so we don't have to worry about that. Minute Maid Park's a dome. Lone Depot's a dome. Yankee Stadium blowing out to left. No, blowing from right to left. Not a little bit in. Going to be a little bit warm, a little bit breezy, but yeah, again, there's no offense for the Yankees, so probably give a plus for pitching. Globe Life at Texas, if they have it open, it's hot and humid. The ball could fly out of there, but it is a retractable roof. And then Busch Stadium, Minnesota at St. Louis, blowing from right to left. I would give the plus side there to Joe Ryan. So that is it. That is the breakdown. That is us telling you who we like for pitching. If you want to go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, we do have a ton of information over there. We have the ballpark rankings with the numbers, how they rank, where they rank, everything like that. We have the top the top plays on the site. We have BVP plays, we have pitching plays, we have a cheat sheet, we have a weather tab, we have a ton of information over there. So again, that's FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. Use the promo code NFLVIP while signing up for a yearly pass. You're going to get $100 off right now for a full year. That includes every single sport that we offer, which as of right now, MLB, NFL, PGA, NASCAR, MMA, and we're probably even going to be bringing back NBA as well. So that's what I've got in this video, guys. Check out the video of the PGA DFS that we did a breakdown. It is linked at the bottom or the back of this video. Go check out everything in the description of this video, and hopefully you guys have success today. Let's bring home some bacon, and peace.